a calmarme.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe.
สวัสดีครับนี่เป็นคอนเทนต์พิเศษเป็นการสัมภาษณ์นักวิจัยคลิปวิดีโอจะแบ่งเป็น EP ซึ่ง EP ที่1นี้จะเป็นการสัมภาษณ์นักวิจัยที่วิจัยลิงเด็กแรกเกิดจนถึงอายุได้ประมาณ1ปีถ้าพร้อมแล้วไปรับชมกันเลยครับ How important is this research?
Right now I am working in my PhD project, which is about infant personality, which is normally understood as personality. Basically how the infant behaves, and specifically I want to know how the stress that the mother has when she is pregnant can affect the personality of the infant, and also the way the mother behaves with the infant. I mean the way she takes care of the infant, how this also affects the personality of the infant. This is like my research question. It is very interesting to understand how behavior has also evolved. I think it's a beautiful topic. It's like looking at a baby growing, a human baby, to see how much it can change and how much the environment affects the behavior of that baby. I think it's like really interesting. And it's the same, but in our case we are doing it with monkeys.
What are the difficulties of this research?
In terms of science, I think in general when you work in the field, it is difficult to get really precise data, like really good data. Before I worked in the lab, and it's easier because you can control more the conditions. But here is the forest and many things are happening. So, and yeah, when you are doing a focal, what we do here is focals. We observe the infants and we collect data about the behavior of those infants. And when you are doing that, many things are happening. And you also have to be aware of, I don't know, the stick or the thorn. So while you are being aware of all these things, it's difficult to collect like the data that you really want to collect. So I think this is difficult, and also in terms of like the life that we have here. So for example, I'm been 1 year away from my family and from my normal life. So this is of course difficult, and maybe there are some, like we can call them dangers in the forest that for me at the beginning were very difficult when I got to this forest. With time you get habituated to them. And you learn how to behave in the forest. But at the beginning this was difficult.
Why did you choose to research monkey instead of researching other animal?
To be honest, I like in general animal behavior. It doesn't have to be the behavior of monkeys or of these monkeys in particular. In this case, I decided to study with these monkeys because of the project, because it is a long-term project and the group had already data like from many years, and I'm interested in development. So for me it's important to have this long-term data. And also I was very interested in knowing how the prenatal state of the mother can affect the behavior of the infant. And in this group there was already research done in this topic. So that's why I decided to study this monkey.
What are the similarity and difference between human society and monkey society?
Because there are many similarities and many differences, but in terms of maternal care, we are very similar. Well, in general, of parental care. So one of the similarities is that the main caregiver is the mother. It's the same with humans. And another big similarity is that in both cases the infants, when we are born, humans and monkeys, we are very dependent on the mother, and for a long time. For some monkeys, they are more dependent than others, but this creates like developmental period that is very long, and in which the influence of the mother is very strong because it's very long and they are very dependent. So in that case, we can really find an impact of the behavior of the mother on the behavior of the infant. And also, these infants need to learn a lot when they are young. It's different if you see a deer, for example. When you see a deer being born and you see him or her in the first day, you are already going to see the deer walking. This doesn't happen with our monkeys or with us. So we need a lot of social learning. We need to learn how to fight, we need to learn how to eat, we need to learn how to play, how to groom in the case of monkeys, and in our case, how to take care of another one. So yeah, we are similar in that sense. But of course, we as humans, our dependency period is much longer compared to the ones of these monkeys at least.
What is the significance of the topic you are researching and what results are expected?
If you research about development in general, you know that it is in a way more difficult to collect data from them than for adults. Many things are happening all the time, and sometimes the behavior is not that clear. So sometimes they are playing, but you're not sure if they are really fighting. When they are eating, it's not clear if they are eating or they are playing with an object. So in a way, this type of research has been avoided. Of course, there is some research, but not a lot. So I think this is something important about the research that I'm doing, that it adds to this gap in the knowledge. And I expect to find that actually what mothers do has an influence on the behavior of infants. What they do, but also what happens before they are born, which is very interesting for me. Normally we think that development starts when an infant is born, but actually life starts before, and I think that what happens before birth is also important in terms of behavior.
In what way can the result of the research study be used?
That's a difficult question. So my main interest is a scientific interest. There are some specific things that I could think about in which what I am studying can be applied, but this is not my interest. So for example, it has been shown that when the mothers have a lot of stress when they are pregnant, this can create infants and also in terms of, also humans that have some socio-emotional problems. So for example, very anxious infants can apparently be a result of mothers that were too stressed when they were pregnant. Maybe infants that have problems to socialize. So in that way, understanding a little bit more about this phenomenon could help us to prevent, in a way, this kind of psychopathological problems.
What do you think is interesting or could be further research on top of the topic you are working on?
I created my project before coming here. So of course when you get to the forest and you see the monkeys and you see them growing for almost a year, there are many questions that appear. But in the last days I have been thinking a lot about how much the group of the monkey influences the behavior of the infants of that group, because we are following 5 groups, and for example, in one of those groups, infants socialize a lot more. I think I'm saying this without looking at my data, but I guess you would agree that infants of MS2 play a lot, fight a lot, groom a lot. They in general socialize more. So I wonder what is happening in this group that creates like this difference, because it's not the amount of infants, because we have another group in which we have almost the same amount, MOT, but for me the difference is clear between the two groups and how the infants behave. So that is something that I'm wondering a lot these days, asking myself a lot.
In your experience, how special do you think this monkey is?
It's the first time I see macaques, well, in the wild, that I study macaques. Before I studied spider monkeys, and it's pretty amazing how fast they develop. So with the spider monkeys, they were with the mother drinking milk until they were 3 years old, so even more than many humans. But these monkeys, I saw them and I was very surprised being away from the mother like 1 week after birth. That for me is very surprising.
Are there any monkey that you particularly like?
Of course, I like more the infants in general, and also more female infants because I think they are calmer. So I like a lot Wasabi, Lhasa, Daisy. I liked a lot Pi. She was very beautiful and she was very different. She was like dark. Mostly infants are white, and she was like, I don't know, she was very beautiful, but she died. From the infant males, I like a lot Juvia and Nazare because I think they are pretty cute, beautiful, but also interesting. Juvia is all the time with the mother, which is weird, I think, for infant males. And I think it's more like calmer. He's calmer. And Nazare is also very funny.
Thank you for your answer. Very nice when you make inspiration for someone who wants to look answer from you.
I hope.
Thank you very much, Anna.
You're welcome.
Generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it.
What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough.